Looking to retire somewhere that defines gay acceptance, nails quality of life, and ranks among the top 5 happiest countries in the world?
This is Queer Money episode number 612, and we're heading to the Netherlands. Today, we're counting down the top 5 Dutch cities for gay retirees, balancing affordability with a fabulous queer vibe.
And no tulips.
Exactly. So when we're talking about affordability with the Netherlands, it is really, really relative. Housing and energy costs can be significant, especially in the very sought-after zones like Amsterdam, as we'll talk about here shortly. Retirees should also factor in the Dutch tax scheme. I know in the US where scheme is negative, but that's actually what Europeans call it. Healthcare contributions can be expensive, and the cost of travel back and forth to home back here in the US to visit friends and family can be very expensive. So again, we're talking relative here. So keep that in mind as we go through this.
Yeah. Remember 2 weeks ago, we covered Costa Rica. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be taking a look at Taiwan. So this week we're covering the Netherlands. Remember to comment what we got right, especially what we get wrong when it comes to pronunciation of some of these places. And also share your personal experiences. I was in the Netherlands as a kid, but that's the only time I've been there.
Is that where you got those clogs?
Yeah, right. And so let us know which Dutch cities gets your windmill going.
Wine in Lisbon instead of US chaos?
We've recently learned of a truly fabulous way to help get you there. Details coming up.
Yeah, all right. Coming in at number 5 is Amsterdam. Why is it great? Well, Amsterdam is the global queer icon in the Netherlands, pretty much lots of Europe. With more than 100 plus LGBTQ plus bars, clubs, saunas, gay-friendly hotels, you name it, it's all there. There's a great, gigantic LGBTQ plus organization called COC Netherlands, which David has told me is pronounced cock.
I don't know for certain, but
the downsides are, as we caveated earlier, is that it can be very expensive. And housing here can be a major hurdle. Social housing, there's a long wait list for social housing, and many expats really have to retire entirely or rely entirely on the private rental market, which can be a little bit, especially when you first get there, hard to navigate. Again, because it's Amsterdam, it's touristy, it's busy, it can be very expensive. So if you're looking for a quiet retirement, this may not necessarily be the place. LGBTQ plus vibe and hotspots it's abundant. The regular Warstad, the Kiergstraat, and Amstel corridor remains the gay street or the main gay corridor. Other spots to look at are Warmstraat.
We're going to put these up on the screen, folks.
Zeejig, and parts of the red light district host daring gay nightlife. Mm-hmm. The queer art scene is also very abundant, and Pride Canal Parade is internationally known. So definitely check that out if you happen to retire in the Netherlands. Perks for retirees are that excellent public transportation, excellent healthcare, probably one of the best in the world, cultural amenities, international connectivities for transportation through airports and trains. English is also widely spoken, so that if that's a hurdle for you, the Netherlands, Amsterdam might be a great place for you, and many other services are very expat friendly or immigrant friendly. Because the density of queer life is easy to plug into the LGBTQ plus community and get support and network with people. Average 2-bedroom rent goes for about $1,650 to $2,750 US dollars per month, depending upon your location, the condition, and amenities. It's a big range, and it can be kind of expensive. So the overall cost of living is only about 5 to 10% less expensive than the US national average. A good rule of thumb is living more modestly in Amsterdam may cost on par or with a mid-sized or upper tier city here in the United States, maybe not necessarily the top tier. For all these reasons, we're giving it a Queer Money retirement rating of 6 out of 10. There's strong community, great amenities, but the cost pressure and the competition kind of weaken the value for retirees if you're trying to stretch your dollars further.
Yeah, I think one of the things we should probably call out, especially when we talk about European countries, keep in mind that Europe is not as car-centric or car-focused as many U.S. cities are. And for that reason, there is such good public transportation. We know that Netherlands, especially Amsterdam, has some of the highest zones of bike ridership in the world. A lot of people do not have a car, so those expenses are oftentimes taken out when we're considering the overall cost of living, not having $1,000 car payment or $500 insurance or having to pay all that gas, because we know, gas is very expensive. Yeah, and cities are much more compact, so there isn't a lot of places for parking. So let's move on here. Coming in at number 4 is Eindhoven. Eindhoven is a tech hub, an innovation hub. It would be, I guess, kind of similar to the Silicon Valley. This is home to companies like Philips and ASML. It attracts, because of that, an international crowd, and it's a relatively progressive area of the country. There is great infrastructure here. Again, transportation links and amenities to all over the country and all over Europe. Some of the downsides, and we're going to see this a little bit with the rest of the cities that we're going to cover here, is that the queer scene is oftentimes smaller, less visible than, say, for example, Amsterdam or other major European centers. So that means that you're actually going into the community and actually finding community yourself. It is a slightly less cosmopolitan area, but because it is a tech hub, the wages oftentimes get pushed up, and for that reason, so do the house prices. We know what's going on in those tech areas of the US where those hotspots are. Oftentimes we see home prices really going up. As far as the LGBTQ vibe, as we mentioned, it is a little less apparent. You do have to dig a little bit. There are some gay areas in Eindhoven, but it's mostly the youthful and international makeup of the city that kind of pulls the queer vibe out. There are a couple of bars. One is called Peacock, and another one
opened recently, it seems.
Yeah, and another one is called, I think it's Regenboog. So there are some bars, some events, some queer activity in spaces, but as we read on Reddit, the kind of joke is that if you go into a restaurant and you announce that you're gay, you're going to be burned on a cross. And the reality is that in a lot of places in the Netherlands, being gay is not considered to be abnormal. It's very common to see queer people intermixing with non-queer people on a regular basis, and it's just not a big deal.
The vibe I got from a lot of the research was it's very similar to Uruguay in that it's just a non-issue. It's been a non-issue for decades. It's a non-issue now. So they don't necessarily always have a gay bar or a gay hotspot to go to because everybody's just all integrated. And, you know, a gay couple could be having a date next to a straight couple. And it's a non-issue.
Yeah. So some of the other perks here is a good balance of urban amenities and lower pressure on housing costs, especially if you're not close to some of those big tech companies. There is great access to air and rail connections for travel. And it does have a strong healthcare system, which is kind of pretty standard for the Dutch. As far as cost of living, rent is coming in around $1,900 a month for a 2-bedroom, which is actually on par with the US average. So obviously, the closer you get to more desirable areas, the more expensive it's going to be, and the cheaper the further you are from those desirable areas. Overall cost of living, it is just slightly below the US, coming in about 6 to 7% cheaper than the US average. Keep in mind here that cost of living is excluding rent. The day-to-day expenses that you're going to find in a lot of these cities is lower than the US, but then when you add in rent and utilities, as John mentioned in the outset, you're coming up towards or getting close to many of the mid-size or larger cities in the US. So for this reason, we're giving it a 7 out of 10 on our Queer Money retirement rating for strong value, great amenities, and some trade-offs when it comes to the queer visibility.
Coming in number 3 is Groningen. It's great because it's the capital of the North, of regional importance and essential services for the Dutch. In the north of the Netherlands is the Groningen region. It is less expensive than the Randstad or the Amsterdam-Rotterdam area. Housing is significantly cheaper, which is a good thing to know. It's a vibrant university city with cultural life, music, festivals, festivities. The community is more tight-knit and also often very welcoming. The downsides are, again, as we've been kind of running into, is that they're not necessarily a gay hub or a gay place to go to. The queer nightlife is somewhat limited. According to a blog called Couple of Men, noted in 2022, that most of the gay places closed down, but there are a couple of gems that have survived. One of them being a cafe or party house called De Kast. Check that out. It's in Oosterstraat. And because it lies further from the main economic hubs, commuting and travel can be a little bit more arduous. Perks for gay retirees are there's more breathing room here, so there's a possibility of a semi-rural life with, city life within reach. The density is a little bit lower. It's quieter. So if that's what you're looking for, maybe not like the oons of Amsterdam, this might be the place to go. And there's great regional hospitals facilities. Average 2-bedroom goes for about $1,300 to $2,000 US dollars a month, which is a little bit more affordable for many retirees. Overall cost of living is about 21% cheaper than the overall national average of the United States. Housing is a little bit cheaper, so major cost is kind of negated here in this area. Day-to-day costs and services are also a little bit less.
All right, coming in at number 2 is
Leiden.
I struggle with the pronunciations here. And I know this one is probably, everyone's like, well, this is the easy one. So Leiden is centrally located between The Hague, Amsterdam, and Rotterdam, which this whole region, the Randstad, I think, area is one where the majority of people in the Netherlands live. So you have access to a whole bunch of different cities here. There's strong university presence here, giving it a very youthful and progressive culture. The expats say that this is an area where they say it's really safe and livability is really high. We found that information on Reddit. Some of the downsides, it is still relatively high cost of living area in the country because this is a very dense area. Housing isn't cheap, and that is one of the major costs here. The gay scene also is not as large or centralized as places like Amsterdam. But as far as the queer vibe goes, because Leiden is smaller, more of the activity is informal. It's in the bars, in the cafes, in the universities. Now, when we say bars, we're not saying necessarily a gay bar, but just there are bars where individuals congregate, and oftentimes you'll find queer circles there. Many LGBTQ people live there and commute to many of the major other cities, in part because it's a little bit cheaper. Some of the perks for retirees, access to great amenities. Again, we said this is the Randstad area, so there's lots of exposure to Amsterdam. There's all the activities that are in the central part of the country here. It is filled with links through trains and roads and easy ways to travel and access to medical care facilities. It's also a charming historic area with canals, museums, and cultural life. As for the cost of living in Leiden, it's coming in at around $2,300 a month for a 2-bedroom, so it is a little bit more expensive. But when you peel away the cost of living, the housing cost of living is coming in around 7% cheaper than the U.S. national average. It's lower than places like central Amsterdam, but it is higher than some of the other remote area or more remote areas that we have talked about here. And for all these reasons, we're giving Leiden an 8 out of 10 on our Queer Money retirement rating. Darlings, this isn't just investing. It's a passport to fabulous. With the Optimize Portugal Golden Opportunities Fund, a €500,000 move gets you a Portugal Golden Visa, daily liquidity, and an EU passport in just 5 years.
Bring your partner, your kids, even your parents. Visa-free Schengen travel and Portugal's low-cost lifestyle included. Scan the QR code or click the link in the video description to explore how. Coming in at number 1, our winner chicken dinner is Nijmegen. Did I say that right?
Nijmegen.
Often cited by locals and expats as one of the more open, liberal, mid-sized cities in the Netherlands, combines manageable cost, because it's lower than, say, the Randstad hubs, with comfortable levels of amenities. Has a university presence as well, which seems to be pretty ubiquitous throughout the Netherlands. Maybe that's why they're so happy. Vibrant cultural life and well connected to major cities, so you can easily get back and forth to other areas if you want. The downsides are, as again, we've said before, queer nightlife is smaller, less published, and so there's not really a gay street. So you might have to do some homework to figure out how to connect with some people. The LGBTQ plus vibes and hotspots are a little bit more diffused, and then it's integrated into general bars, cafes, and cultural institutions. Some places that you might want to check out, though, are Marcus Antonius and Regenbog Nijmegen. Did I say that right? Nobody correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
The perks for gay retirees are that affordability is combined with a great quality of life. Possible to live in the scenic surroundings and still have that urban vibe if that's what you're looking for. Good regional infrastructure and access to larger Dutch cities, all via train, as David alluded to earlier. Average 2-bedroom rent goes for $1,200 to $1,800 a month, so a little bit more affordable. Overall cost of living is about 10% cheaper than the U.S. national average. And for all these reasons, it gets the number 1 spot and gets a 9 out of 10 on our Queer Money retirement rating. Best balance for cost, community, accessibility, livability for queer retirees in the Netherlands, in our view. And we created the list, so there.
Yeah. The Netherlands overall is one of the most LGBTQ-friendly countries in the world. Discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation is prohibited by law, and social acceptance and legal infrastructure are there to protect the community. Which city sounds the most like your vibe? We know ones that we would be attracted to, especially at this point in our lives when we're thinking about retirement. To map out your personal finish line when it comes to your retirement, grab the Happy Gay Retirement Calculator with the QR code on the screen, with the link in the description of this YouTube video or in your podcast player. For the Queer Money Retirement Rating Card for all of the countries and cities that we've been looking at, go to queermoneypodcast.com/cities or click the link in the description or your podcast player.
Then next week, join us. We're going to talk about exactly how to get that very, very sought after Portuguese golden visa. And in 2 weeks, as David said, we're going to talk about the best cities in Taiwan for gay retirees. If you love this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, click all the bells and whistles, and share this with your other friends who also want to retire fabulously. And until next time, stay fabulous. And if the Netherlands is just a little bit too far away from home for you, but you still want that St. Olaf vibe that Rosen Island always talks about, check out this episode here on the most affordable LGBTQ+ friendly cities in Minnesota. Bye.